2015 Bill 2014 tabled in this August House on 10 November 2014. Mr. Speaker, in a short span of 8 months under the leadership of a relatively more reformist new Chief Minister, several people-friendly initiatives and policies have been introduced. We are all Sarawakians and we all have benefits and well-being of all Sarawakians at heart. If both the government of the day and the opposition can work hand in hand on some common grounds, why not for the betterment of all Sarawakians? I must say that the new Chief Minister has been listening to the many valuable and constructive suggestions, even from the opposition. It is hoped that the CM shall continue to be a reformist and listen to the many plights of the people also. On the oil royalties issues, we hope the Chief Minister shall remain firm in pressing for the demand of 20% oil royalties to be given to our state. With all the extra billions in revenue to be derived from the extra oil royalties, we can lead this great state of Sarawak into a developed state. All Sarawakians can then enjoy a better standard of living, more affordable houses, cheaper electricity and treated water to all households, better roads and infrastructure, more grants for schools, better health services, toll-free bridges, etc. Mr. Speaker, people in central region of Sarawak have been paying exorbitant bridge toll to the Rejang Bridge concessionaire since 2006. The much criticized high toll rate heavily burdens the motorists, especially those who reside at Bindango, Sarike and Cebu, who commute from Bindango, Sarike to Cebu, vice versa, regularly or daily to work, study or trek at the other side of the said bridge. The farmers from Sungai Mado, Dulai, Narasit and Meradong areas who are struggling to make ends meet by sending their agricultural products to Cebu every day have been very much burdened by the high toll rates. In the past, I had on numerous occasions during ADUN sittings appealed to the state government to abolish the state bridge toll so as to ease the burden of the residents in central region of Sarawak. Regrettably, there is no positive response from the state government so far. To date, we people in the central region of Sarawak are still waiting for the good news of toll abolition as promised by the Honourable Senior Minister during past election. In fact, the sum to be spent to take over the Rejang Bridge is only a pittance compared to what the state government has in its coffers in total. In view of the escalating cost of living, I do hereby strongly urge the government and the Honourable Chief Minister to kindly take necessary steps to abolish the state bridge toll, or at the very least to review the toll rates to a cheaper rate to lessen the burden of the people there. The free passage of the state bridge will surely spur faster the economic growth of the west bank of Rejang River, Bintango and Sarike. People in central region of Sarawak would be most grateful if our Chief Minister could listen to their plights and appeals and make such efforts to abolish the state bridge toll or to review the toll rates to a cheaper rate. It is hopefully that under the leadership of our Honourable Chief Minister, the Rejang Bridge toll can be abolished very soon in very near future. If this becomes real, this will be another great legacy of our Chief Minister to Sarawak, and all Sarawakians will be thankful and most grateful to the CM's graciousness. Mr. Speaker, the traffic congestion problem at the Bindango Health Clinic has become more serious these days due to lack of parking spaces. Virtually every day, vehicles are seen parked along the roadside at the clinic's entrance. The clinic is near to the Methodist Church and SMK Kaichon, and there is a big band right in front of the said clinic entrance. Hence, the traffic congestion problem has caused great inconvenience not only to the patients but also to the public who pass by the said area, especially during school days. Furthermore, the congestion at the clinic's entrance will cause difficulty to the ambulance while enter and exit the clinic in time of emergency. I'm given to understand that the health department has been negotiating with the district office and the local authority to use the land outside the clinic compounds as parking spaces. I'll be much grateful if the Minister of Public Health could enlighten me as to the status of the extension of parking spaces for the Bindango Health Clinic. Mr. Speaker, in the previous June sittings, I have repeatedly spoken about the poor performance of the Meradong and Julau District Council, MDMJ, being local government of Meradong, Julau and Pakang. Many local problems under the jurisdiction of local government are not attended to. one of the serious problems remains. Many drains, especially in many parts of Mindanao town and residential areas, had remained not clear. Among the drains which are severely clogged with mud and silt are Lorong 1 to Lorong 7 of Jalan Kilang, Jalan Keluput, Jalan Berjaya, Oriental Garden, Jalan Chongsang, Jalan Temaga, Jalan Tanah Mas, Jalan Pedada, Jalan Cantik Utara, Jalan Taman Fopin, Taman Bintang, and Taman Paris Heights 2. We have written to the Secretary of MDNJ, Encik Adrian Anak Luan, and informed him of the location of the clogged drains for the Council's further action. Yet, we received an official reply from the State Secretary which reads as follows. Adalah dimaklumkan bahawa pihak majlis telah membincangkan perkara ini dalam mesyuarat yang lepas dan telah merancang untuk melakukan kerja-kerja menaik taraf sistem pemberitaan secara berperingkat-peringkat di kawasan Bandar Bintango. Namun begitu, pihak majlis tidak mempunyai sebarang kekangan dan sangat berterima kasih kepada pihak Tuan untuk membersihkan sistem pemberitaan di Jalan Limau tersebut. It is indeed so shameful for local government to respond to public complaints in such an irresponsible manner. In any event, drainage desilting and drainage upgrading is totally different matters. When the Council said there is no fund for drainage desilting, however, as per the Ministry written reply regarding the drainage desilting in Meradong, the Council has been allocated a sum of 102,493 ringgit 68 cents per year for the period of 2011 to 2013 and 65,148 ringgit and 69 cents for 2014 for the purpose of grass cutting, clearing of debris and drain desilting. The government has indeed allocated these sums for drain desilting purpose. The works were not done, but the funds are said to be utilized for drain desilting. Where has the money gone to? Was it into the drains or someone's pocket without having to do anything? Thereafter, I've written to the Minister of Local Government regarding the above problem. I do hereby thank our Senior Minister for having instructed the Council Secretary to investigate and take action sooner possible, as per the letter dated 22nd August 2014. Till today, 2 months has passed, but we still do not see any action taken by the Council to solve the drainage problem. The Council Secretary seems to have totally disregarded and ignored the instruction of the Honourable Senior Minister, showing no respect at all to our Senior Minister. Isn't it a big slap on the face of our Senior Minister when your subordinate could just sit on your instruction and do nothing at all? To the Honourable Minister for Social Development, even though MDNJ problem does not fall under your purview, since the State Secretary is your loyal followers, perhaps you could advise him to perform his duty fairly. After all, we are all public servants. I verily believe that drainage problems in Bintango could be solved easily if the local government concerned has the heart to do it for the goodness sake of the people. I attended the full council meeting several times, and during the once in 3 months meetings, many public-related matters and decisions are bulldozed through without much detail being reported. They may deny it, but it's an open secret that more often than not, the decision-making power is rested solely in the hand of the State Secretary. Even the Council's chairman has little say over most of the Council's matter. The councillors are more like decorating flower pots in the MDNJ, whose function is merely to rubber stamp the one-man decision made by the State Secretary. Government grants allocated to MDNJ are to be shared between 3 district councils, i.e. Meradong, Julau and Pakam. As such, to be fair to the taxpayers of each district, by right such grants shall be distributed proportionally and fairly to each district. It is another open secret that the Secretary of MDNJ has diverted most of the funds from Meradong to Julau for his personal agenda, perhaps to pave his way as the candidate for Julau in the coming election. Mr. Speaker, you may say that I shall not mention someone who is not here to defend himself, but I have to raise this problem of administration malpractice in MDNJ in this August House, and it is hoped that the Honourable Minister concerned would take necessary action to rectify the same, so as to restore the reputation of MDNJ. Mr. Speaker, since 23rd September 2014, both the public toilets situated at Wharf Road and the one next to the Muslim store opposite the MDMJ have been closed down for upgrading work. There is no progress of the upgrading work so far after the partial demolition of the said public toilets facilities. Local government is duty-bound to supervise and monitor the contractors involved so that they will speed up the upgrading work. Also, the MDMJ has recently removed the Pintu Gerbang Selamat Datang ke Bindango, placed near the Catholic Church in Bindango. The said Pintu Gerbang is still in good shape and it needs just some repainting work to make it presentable. However, I discovered that it has been removed and dumped at the roadside until the scrap metal dealers came to collect it. In respect of this, I wish the Minister for Local Government can enlighten me as to what had the MDMJ done with the old Pintu Gerbang. Is it being disposed of as scrap metal? If it is so, how much has the council get from such disposal? Whether the money they get from such disposal is deposited into the council's account. We, taxpayers, have the right to know how the public assets is being dealt with. In the state budget tabled by the Honourable Chief Minister, it is stated that the state has a greater responsibility to be more vigilant in upholding the highest standards of prudent financial and resource management, ensuring transparency, accountability, good governance and integrity. I believe this can only be achieved if it is practiced at the local government level. I do hereby strongly urge the Ministry of Local Government to take all these matters seriously, as the performance of local council directly reflects the efficiency of the state government of the day. Mr. Speaker, Longhouse residents at Rumah Sumpong are very much bothered by the flood problem at Jalan Selidap, as it is flooded even during non-rainy days. There are more than 200 residents staying at Rumah Sumpong who use the said road to go to work and study, etc. The water level could rise up to a knee-high level or even waist-high level whenever it gets flooded. Look at this picture. This shows how the residents there suffering from the flood, the serious flood at Jalan Selidap. Jalan Selidap has been upgraded after 2008 general election. However, the newly upgraded road started to subside just few months after the upgrading project. Whenever it is flooded, the Longhouse residents have to park their vehicles at the roadside of the higher parts of the road and wade through the knee-high water to work or school. The severe flood at Jalan Selidap has caused the residents at Rumah Sumpong miserable life. The Tuan Rumah had officially approached the Sarawak District Office, but no action has been taken. Whether the said road is under the purview of Sarawak District Office or JKR, the problem ought to be solved and shall not be left unattended to like nobody business. I do hereby urge the ministry concerned to seriously investigate the cause of flood at Jalan Selidap, send your officer to do a site visit at the said road and solve it sooner possible. Mr. Speaker, the bridge at Gemuang area is in dire need of upgrading as the Kelupu Road has been upgraded and widened recently, while the said bridge remains narrow and that it cannot accommodate even 2 small lorries to pass at one time. The area is also an accident-prone area. Another wooden bridge at Jalan Ulu Mado is in similar state, that the road has been widened, but the wooden bridge appears relatively narrow and small. The size of the wooden bridge is only half the size of the road, which is very dangerous for the road users, especially during night time. Therefore, I wish the relevant ministry and JKR can look into the above problem and consider the possibility of upgrading the above said 2 bridges also. It may appear a trivial matter in your eyes, but by upgrading the said bridges, you are saving life. Mr. Speaker, since the green initialized, cash handouts have pretty much become a hallmark of BN. Although green has been well received and very popular, this populist measure is akin to helicopter rent of money, fueling further inflation phenomena with the so-called demand-induced inflation, as most people tend to spend straight after they receive the cash grants. During Green Cash Release Day, we can see coffee shops are full of people and the shopping malls are crowded. At the same time, there are traders who are going to take advantage by marking up their prices. Many people are overjoyed by the increase of green to 950 ringgit as announced in the National Budget 2015. However, is the increase in green a long-term measure to offset the escalating cost of living as a result of higher fuel prices and especially with the implementation of GST in April 2015? I'm afraid not. The latest reduction in the fuel subsidy has pushed up the transport cost of goods. Transport cost has always been a significant factor in the price of goods and services. Green handouts may help a little, but it is merely one-off immediate relief. It doesn't resolve the overall financial strains caused by subsidies cut and GST. While household and consumers' purchasing power is shrinking, following the price markup practiced by traders, the worsening inflation is silently affecting billions of middle and low-income households who are currently struggling with deterioration in their real income. More worryingly, these direct cash grants will further burden our country's financial liability, as our nation is currently having budget deficit and running on heavy debts. Certainly, we need to examine and review this direct cash grants approach and start looking at an inflation targeting framework and a credible and sustainable monetary policy. Like the proverbial saying, you give them fish, you are feeding them for a meal. But if you teach them how to fish, you develop them to prosper during their lifetime. Even former Prime Minister Tun Mahathir himself has expressed his disagreements with cash handouts like green, saying that the money would be better spent on skill development. Mr. Speaker, the implementation of the GST in April 2015 will make 2015 an even more challenging and painful year for both for the consumers and the entrepreneurs. The 6% GST will be charged on all business inputs such as capital assets and raw materials, except for those items fall under the zero-rated and exempted categories. Thereafter, the GST will be imposed on the goods and services sold to the consumers, though it was announced that essential goods and services will be exempted from GST. But the fear is that the GST will spark a chain reaction that will increase the price of most goods and services. We have seen in numerous occasions, for example, when the fuel price is increased by 20 cents per liter, price of most goods or even basic food and drinks will hike. But after the fuel price is dropped by 10 cents per liter, the price of goods and services never drop. The government is powerless to mitigate this situation and curb inflation as a chain effect of fuel hike. How is the government going to prevent similar situation when the GST is imposed? In the previous two sitting, Honourable Member for Nangka has shouted loud in this day one that GST will not affect the poor, it affects the rich more. As you buy more, you pay more tax. Prima facie, it sounds logic, but is it possible for the poor to just live on the basic necessities? In reality, whether you are rich or poor, adult or children, old or young, you have to consume things which are not categorized as necessities, but are somehow and in fact essential and necessary to you. For example, a baby needs diapers, and the diaper is not exempted from GST. Hence, the parents will have to bear the GST on top of the selling price of the diapers. The public transportation is categorized as GST exempted service. But what about the tires, spare parts, and regular repair services required for the vehicle? I have only 20 minutes. I think you will do the reply just like the minister in your speech. So I'm going to continue.
Hey, don't on the mic. It's not giving way.
Are all these exempted from the GST? They are not. This simply means the transport service provider will have to absorb all the costs and GST in maintaining and servicing the vehicles. At the end of the day, the service providers will have to increase the price of service to survive. In Sarawak, most business rely on lorry to deliver goods from one place to another. However, since lorry services does not fall under the exempted category or zero-rated categories, prices of most goods and services will surely increase. Furthermore, in this era of modern world, some luxuries such as mobile phone has become essential and common goods to almost every one of us. The reason is plain and simple. Isn't it essential and necessary for the people to own a mobile phone when they can hardly find a well-maintained and functioning public phone on the street? Mr. Speaker, according to Honourable Member for Nangka's rationale, you don't buy, then you don't pay tax. Control and restrict spending is the only option available for the middle and lower income group after the implementation of GST. No, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, during other time, Honourable Member for Nangka mentioned opposition members never
That's right.
Ask the
Yeah.
member to seek clarification.
Yeah, I never.
So,
No.
you will reply me.
Not give.
I know you will reply just like Honorable Minister.
She's not giving way.
Mr. Speaker, in other words, the poor will always remain poor, and the better standard of living will forever remain
She's
their
not
dreams
giving
that
way.
never
Not
come true.
giving way.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not giving way because
Yeah,
I
no,
know
sit down.
honorable member from Nanga will surely do a winding up speech to hantam every one of us here during his speech. He is not an honorable minister yet, but for sure he will do so, and he will even bring this out to the ADUN lounge or ADUN cafeteria.
Yeah.
He will bring this out today.
Yeah.
He ordered us there.
Proceed. Yeah, proceed.
In short, implementation of GST is only viable if the country's per capita income is increased relatively, and more importantly, when the incidents of misuse of public funds and corruptions are reduced significantly and the welfare of the citizens are well taken care of. People will be more willing to pay GST only if all these criteria are fulfilled. Incident of abuse of public funds, dubious government contracts, overspending and inefficiency are hardly news in Malaysia as exposed in the annual AG's reports. I believe what people would like to see is that the government tackles the issues of corruption, leakages and wastage first before cutting subsidy and imposing tax. Mr. Speaker, with that I conclude.